One step and you're in Belgium, another you're in the Netherlands. But this is just the beginning. Around the world, some borders will blow your mind. Countries wrapped inside other countries, invisible lines that divide people, and even entire towns split in two. Some of these lines are born from centuries of war, others from political blunders. But all of them tell stories way stranger than fiction. In this video, we're uncovering the most shocking, hilarious, and downright bizarre borders on Earth, and the crazy stories behind them. From land no one wants to places where you're in two countries at once, these borders will completely change how you see the world, and you won't believe which country accidentally gave away its land. Let's start with one of the weirdest. A town where you can literally eat dinner in one country and use the bathroom in another. Imagine walking down a quiet street, grabbing a coffee, and realizing the cafe is in Belgium. But the chair you're sitting on? That's in the Netherlands. Welcome to Barle-Hertog, the most confusing border puzzle on the planet. This isn't just a town split in two. It's a town shattered into over 20 tiny fragments of Belgium completely surrounded by the Netherlands. These fragments are so scattered and small, some are no larger than a city block. The borders cut across roads, sidewalks, even through buildings. They're marked on the ground with white crosses, so you can literally step over from one country to the next. It gets weirder. There's a bakery where the oven is in Belgium, but the front counter is in the Netherlands. During COVID-19, one part of the shop was forced to close while the other could stay open. So the owner just rerouted customers through the Dutch door. And then there's the story of a married couple who bought a house in Barle-Hertog, only to realize their kitchen was in Belgium and their bedroom in the Netherlands. That meant two different tax systems, two postal codes, and two sets of building laws. They literally had to negotiate renovations with two governments. But while this border is one of the most heavily guarded, some land has zero guards, because honestly, no one even wants it. There's a piece of earth, about the size of New York City, that's claimed by no country, no government, no laws, just open desert. It's called Bir Tawil, and it sits between Egypt and Sudan. And here's the twist, both countries refuse to claim it. Why? Well, it comes down to a century-old border dispute. Egypt recognizes one map, Sudan recognizes another. On both maps, the other country gets the more valuable land, a region called the Halaib Triangle, and Bir Tawil gets left behind. Claiming it would mean losing rights to the better land, so both sides just ignore it. That leaves Bir Tawil in a bizarre limbo, a piece of land with no flag, no police, no laws, and officially no country. And of course, the internet got involved. In 2014, an American named Jeremiah Heaton traveled to Bir Tawil and planted a flag. He declared it the Kingdom of North Sudan, just so his daughter could be a princess. He even wrote to the United Nations asking for recognition. The stunt went viral, sparked debates, and even inspired a Hollywood script. Of course, no country recognized his claim, but technically, there's nothing stopping someone from trying again. Bir Tawil remains the last unclaimed piece of habitable land on Earth. A modern no-man's land, not because people fought over it, but because no one wants to fight for it. But if Bir Tawil is isolated and unwanted, the next border is the complete opposite. So tangled and chaotic, real families lived inside countries. Inside other countries. Inside another country. This is one of the most confusing border situations in history, where people lived in a Bangladeshi village, inside an Indian enclave, which itself was inside Bangladesh, all surrounded by India. Yes, you heard that right. These were the Cooch Behar enclaves, a bizarre patchwork of over 160 land fragments split between India and Bangladesh. They were created during the colonial era, when local kings exchanged land as part of treaties, games, and even debt repayments. No one thought much of it, until independence came. And suddenly, these strange fragments became international borders. One real-life example, a farmer named Abdul lived in a Bangladeshi village that was inside Indian land, itself inside Bangladesh. That meant, to go to school or buy groceries, his children had to cross multiple international borders, just to reach the next village. There were people with no birth certificates, no schools, and no legal country. For decades, they were stateless, unable to vote, own property, or get medical care. Even worse, neither India nor Bangladesh could build roads or provide services in these enclaves, because any official presence was considered an invasion. It took over 60 years to fix the mess. In 2015, both countries signed a historic agreement. Over 50,000 people were given a choice: stay where they were and change nationality, or move and keep their citizenship. Most people stayed. After decades of chaos, they just wanted some kind of normal. And just when you think that's the peak of border insanity, imagine a village where you can wake up in Germany, go to school in Belgium, and have lunch in the Netherlands without ever leaving town. Imagine being late for school because you had to cross 3 international borders, all before lunchtime. That's a daily reality in parts of Europe, where small villages sit right at the tri-point of 3 nations. One of the most famous? The area around Valserburg, where Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands all meet. There's even a monument there, marking the exact point where all 3 countries touch. But for locals, this isn't a tourist attraction, it's just life. In these tri-point villages, residents casually cross borders to go to school, shop for groceries, or grab a beer. A restaurant might have its kitchen in Belgium, but serve meals on tables that stretch across all 3 countries. And the best part? No one even flinches. That's because these villages sit inside the Schengen area, a European agreement that removed internal border checks between member countries. So kids literally walk into another nation the same way you'd cross a street in your hometown. But it wasn't always this easy. For decades, borders meant barriers, guarded, fenced, and enforced. In this same region, people once needed documents to visit their neighbors. Today, they host international barbecues without even thinking about it. It's one of the few places on Earth where borders became bridges, not walls. But not every border is this friendly. Some still carry scars of history. Others have created entire identity crises. And a few are so bizarre even locals don't fully understand where they live. Borders divide nations, but they also shape stories, families, and lives. In Baarle-Hertog, one step changes your country. In the DMZ, one step could start a war. On the Diomede Islands, you can see tomorrow with your own eyes. And in Beertawil, no one sees anything at all. These aren't just lines on a map. They're products of colonial decisions, political mistakes, and frozen conflicts. Some borders are treated like sacred boundaries. Others are laughed at, or completely ignored. But the most surprising thing about borders? They're not really about land. They're about control, fear, power, and sometimes even hope. They define who belongs and who doesn't. They tell us where we're from, even if we're standing just inches away from someplace else. And in rare cases, they remind us how strange, funny, and deeply human our world really is. So, which one shocked you the most? Was it the man who claimed his own kingdom, the town with split bedrooms, or the land that no one even wants? Drop a comment below. I read everyone. And if you love discovering the weirdest corners of the world, you haven't seen anything yet. Because in the next video, we're heading to a border where cows wear GPS collars to avoid triggering military drones. Yeah, it gets that weird. Hit that like if you learned something new. Subscribe for more mind-blowing geography stories. And I'll see you in the next one.